This video is made possible by our sponsors, AJA. We'd like to thank AJA for all their support and tell you to go to aja.com for all your production and post-production needs.
Hi, I'm Gordon Burkell from Filmmaker U. At Filmmaker U, we create courses for film professionals to deepen and diversify your existing skill set. You can learn more at filmmakeru.com. Of course, follow us on Instagram at filmmaker_u. Every week, we interview a film professional to discuss their work, and this week I'm joined by cinematographer Ana Amortegui, whose work includes Black Lightning, Resident Alien, and more recently, Quantum Leap, just to name a few. Welcome to the show, Ana.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
I guess my first question is, you started, you have a degree in electrical engineering, and you were a professional dancer before cinematographer. So how do you make that leap from electrical engineering and professional dancing to cinematography?
Yeah, I think like life puts you where you have to be, and one thing leads to the other. I always, in my mind, I always thought I was going to be an engineer. I really liked it. My dream was to work in like alternative ways to produce energy. But I was a dancer my whole life, and through dancing, I got a job as a dance teacher in a reality show. So I started working on TV, then they offered me another job and another one. So I ended up just being behind cameras and in front, just dancing. And I started like falling in love with lighting and camera work. Like I needed to learn how the choreography, like what the DP needed for the choreographies to be effective on camera. So like I started sitting next to him and talking to him, and I just fell in love with it. So I guess, it's a very different path, but, I'm glad that all this got me where I am.
I've been a camera person for 30 years, and I fell in love with cinema. I heard there was free film school in France, and I wanted to get into the French film school. I really didn't know anything at the time, but I knew at least how to take pictures. So I said, I'll try for the image department. And then when I miraculously got into the French film school, I fell in love with working with the camera. You're following what's going to be in the movie. So that immediacy that the camera allows is what I loved from the beginning. I'm Kirsten Johnson, and this is my course about documentary cinematography.
What's interesting is there's a editor named Carol Perlman, and she wrote a book called Cutting Rhythms, but she was a dancer before she became an editor. And in the book, she talks about how dance impacted her ability to edit. Like it showed her different ways of editing. So I'm wondering, because of that rhythm and timing, like, did that sort of help you as a cinematographer in terms of like not lighting, but like camera moves and things like that?
I would say too that, being a dancer, being a good dancer is that person who can create and get, have like the emotion flow through your body and create something out of it and use your body to express a lot of the stuff. So I feel like now I express through the lens, but it's me who, and like, again, is my the capability of like feeling something and being able to let it come out through, again, if it was dancing, through my body, and now through camera. So it makes you feel very, very emotional, know how to use, in this case, your body, but know how to express it out as well so people can see it, right? Make it organized, make it harmonic, make it go with the rhythm of different music. So you gotta adjust, right? You one day dance jazz, the next day you can dance ballet, the next day, it's the same thing. We shoot horror, we shoot thrillers. It's like, I think that that has given me an advantage of being able to interpret whatever comes to me and make it and translate it into my view through the camera, my images, what I feel, what comes to my mind, and being able to express it out and make it a dance, make it a film, right?
Yeah, well, so what was it? Because you said you originally thought, I'm going to be an engineer, and then you sort of moved into film, and you talked about how you were on set, so you were able to see things. But what made you move away from engineering? Was it just not as exciting as film?
Oh no, I always wonder what my life would have been as an engineer. But the thing is that once, I did a reality show when I was a choreographer in a reality show. And when I came back, I graduated with honors. They offered me a position in the energy company of my city. But at the same time, the network offered me a job to choreograph this very good soap opera. So I had to move to the capital. And then I had to live there for I then moved to there. So I couldn't do both things at the same time. And I just listened to my heart, and this was like doing something that I really loved. And it was there, the opportunity presented itself. And then I just fell in love with it, and I just went with it. It's really hard because a lot of the people think that you can make a living out of being a dancer or an artist. But I hardly believe that anything you do with your heart, anything you're passionate about, it'll pay off. You don't need to know how things are gonna happen. You just need to know that you gotta follow what you feel, your dreams, your passion, and it'll get you somewhere. It was really hard with my dad and with my family, thinking that I was never gonna make it, that I was gonna be a starving artist. Even when I moved here and went to school for filmmaking, it was the same thing. I'm the typical immigrant story, 7 jobs, doing everything for free, trying to volunteer here, being a PA there. And, I didn't know, and it was hard, but I just knew that this was my dream. And then I wasn't not going to let anybody kind of take that away from me. And I was going to work as much as I could and as hard as I could. And I didn't know, but it happened, right? I can say I'm fully living my passion.
Well, that's what's so interesting about that, because you made the journey to America. So from Medellin, Colombia to America. And there's a lot of people I know from around the world. When I've met people, they're all like, oh, I want to move to California to make films. So what would your advice be for them, if you could give them advice in terms of, because you made that journey?
Yes, I would say do it. I would say, look, I feel like you gotta, whatever you have to do in order to fulfill your dream, you just have to do without hesitation and just taking a risk, because you know that you are always going to have your family, you're always going to have your country, you're always going to have the safety of where you came from. So you gotta take a leap of faith and do it. If it doesn't work out, it's okay. Then you have so much to go back to, but there's nothing to lose. When I came to Los Angeles, I had no friends, no job, no money. I didn't even have a car for 2 years. It was just by bus and by walking every single time. I had a job.
Hardest thing in LA.
Yeah. I had a job at a rental house in Sun Valley, and I was living in West LA, and I needed to take 2 buses and a train. So I had to, for an 8 a.m. job, I had to wake up at 5 to be able to get there by 8. I mean, it's crazy, but again, you have to take action, right? Life will help you, the universe will conspire, but you have to take action. You have to do your homework and show up and be present and keep working towards your dream.
So how did you get involved with Quantum Leap? How did you get in with that team?
I was very lucky. My agent, Brian Goldberg, he got the call from our line producer, and then they interviewed me, right? They were looking for a cinematographer. And I was really happy because I got to shoot the pilot. And sometimes that's a really hard thing for you to get, right? There's DPs that are specialized only on pilots. So they shoot the pilot and then they give the series to other DPs. So I was really excited that this was something that I could start from the beginning. I'm an up-and-coming cinematographer, so this opportunity was huge, right? To be able for them to trust in me, to be able to give the life to the show. So it was like a normal process of interviewing, and then another one, and then, just like a normal process. I didn't know anybody. I hadn't worked with any of the producers or the showrunners. This was all new from scratch.
What's interesting, like you mentioned doing the pilot. So Quantum Leap, every episode is different. So I'm wondering, when you're setting up for a pilot, because the whole idea is here's the look of the show. So when something's different each episode, what are some of the consistencies or the things that you sort of came up with for the first one that did continue on, and then what sort of is ejected or gotten rid of each episode?
Yeah, so we have one standing set, which is the headquarters, like where they get together. And that needed to have the same look over and over. It has evolved through the season, but that needed to be the same for everybody, right? It needed to stay the same throughout the whole episode. So establishing a look that was really important. So with the showrunner, and even this time the studio had a say in how they wanted to make the space look. Once we found what they wanted it to do, like the leaps, they all can be different. That's the beauty of it. Like you said, every episode you go through a different time period, and then everything is valid. You have to take a chance. You have to take a risk. You have to do what it takes to make sure that you can feel you're in the 60s, or that you're in the 80s or in the 30s, right? So we're very lucky to have a showrunner that really encourages us and supports like the creativity and all the things that we want. If I need to change lenses for one episode, I'll change lenses. If I need to get a specific piece of equipment, we'll see if we can get it, and then we just do whatever it needs. But we all tied the language of the show with like our camera moves, right? Like we do this when we're here, we do that when we're there. We kind of frame the characters depending on their story. Like, so we try to tie the show together episode through episode through the camera movements when we're in the leaps, or through the style and the moods, and then the headquarters, like what visually kind of tied us all down together. That's kind of like the main thing. At the beginning, we started with like the leaps. The past was with spherical lenses, and the present was anamorphic. So there was a visual difference between when Ben was in the past, we would use the normal spherical lens. And then when we were in the headquarters or anything present, we use anamorphics, because I think in these days, people are so used to the anamorphic visual aspect of it, the bouquet and the stretching of the thing. And, I thought even if that was a subtle difference, I think it would help. And then I used some very a little bit of older lenses to kind of give that, and the texture and the fall off a little bit faster. But that couldn't go after 4 episodes. We just needed to have one set of lenses. So now it's everything the same, but that didn't stay.
So because you got to do all these different sort of time periods, looks, what would you say was the most challenging or fun one that you got to do?
I have to say that one that was very challenging was the last season finale, which was everything happened in the headquarters, in the Quantum Leap headquarters, but in 3 different time periods. So we need to make the same space look different 3 times. And the way we all agreed with the showrunner and the director was to create different color palettes for the different times. And obviously it looked different in the 3 time periods, but it was really challenging because you've shown that space every single episode. And now you have one wholly episode, all based in the same place. So it was really nice, really challenging. We were able to, I think it was really successful. I think the episode is really pretty. So that was challenging in that sense. The most fun one that I've ever shot, I think, is the one that is going to come this season in Egypt, because we did go to Egypt. So
lucky.
It was like a dream come true. It was so pretty. We got to be there, be by the pyramids, the markets, the mosques. We got to shoot with the Egyptian crew, which it was gorgeous. The culture difference, the language different. How do we all come up together to get the day going, to finish, to show something really nice, to keep the show looking the same. But it was so pretty. I think that's been my favorite.
Wow, that would have been a lot of fun to shoot in Egypt. And just to see the pyramids would have been amazing.
Yeah, it was beautiful. We shot there for like a full day, but you gotta go there for the tech scout. And the pretty thing is, like, this business is such a blessing, because you go to these places, but they take you to the places where nobody can go. So anytime you go somewhere, you get like the VIP tour, you go to these places. So it was really pretty to be able, like, we were close to the Sphinx, which nobody can touch, it's like close. Yeah. And we were shooting right there next to it, and things like that. It is really pretty. We shot at Battleship, the Iowa Museum.
Yep.
and then, you know, their tours, but nobody can go to certain places. And we were in every single room in that ship. It was so pretty to kind of be there with the history, with the textures, with the colors, with like, oh, we're so blessed.
So now, because if I'm not mistaken, you're also a mother.
Yes.
So now, depending on the person I've talked to who has kids, some of them are like, we bring them along and, you know, they'll figure it out, or some of them, you know, depends on the age, things like that. So how do you like to tackle that as a parent? Because there are going to be parents who are like, how do I tackle this as a
Yeah.
career?
Well, yes, I will never leave my daughter behind. She's too young for me to say and for her to understand. I mean, she is my life, and she's been like that since she was in my belly, because when I got pregnant is when I got the most work. So she's been with me since that moment.
Yeah.
And I also am very lucky I have a very supportive partner. He always comes along. So we move as a family everywhere. We're very lucky, you know, that we can do that. So I'm very grateful to him, because if he wasn't here, I couldn't do it. But she most of the time comes with us everywhere. Or if not, say if it's something like Egypt, you know, they met me after, and then we had a little vacation, but because it was just like a week. So trips like that, I'm able to just come and go. But when it's like the TV shows, like Resident Alien was in Canada, so the three of us moved there for like 9 months. And, you know, I'm lucky she's young, so she can go to any preschool or things like that. I don't know, we'll have to figure out when she gets to school, but I'm very lucky I have a very supportive family that knows that this is my dream and that we've been able to do it together. But I do feel a lot of mom guilt a lot of the times, because throughout the week, I don't see my daughter that much. So like, it is hard to show up for your family when you're so busy for 12, 14, but the weekends are for them. And also, you know, I like that my daughter can see that, you know, mama is reaching out for her dreams, or that she's working, and that, you know, she started taking pictures recently, and that makes me so happy, because she sees me with a camera always, and now she wanted a camera. So it's nice to see that, you know, I like to install in her heart that she can do whatever she dreams of, that she can reach out for her dreams, that she can work, then she can, you know, just be who she wants to be.
Well, I will say, if this helps, my friend's mother was a lawyer when I was growing up, and they went everywhere. Like, she was an international lawyer, so they'd be like, we're going to Greece, we're going to this place, and I was so jealous. And I was just like, you get to go to like wherever it was, and he'd be like, yeah, you know, just for a couple of weeks. I'm like, people would kill for that opportunity. So,
you know, yeah,
she's going to be very lucky as she gets older and is like, oh, I'm going to Egypt again. You know?
You know, I think that it has good things and some not bad things, but some pros and cons. And, you know, one of the pros is that she is such a risk taker. She's so used to changes, because she's never had anything steady, right? She doesn't have a home, she doesn't have a school, a set of friends. Since she was born, she's been going everywhere. So everything changes for her so fast every single day. But she adapts so well. She's like our teacher, right? Like, she's on it for it. Like, she doesn't dwell on it. She just goes and changes cities. There we go. Changes friends. Here we go. So I think has made her like a very adventurous, a very like open. Like, she is very friendly. And if I take her to you, she will say hi and stay with you. And then I say, Mommy, I'll come back, and she will stay with you. Like, that is good, I think. Yeah. And then the downside is that she doesn't have anything of her own. She doesn't belong anywhere, because she's been everywhere. So that's the only kind of like, you know, having to change her every single time is a little bit hard, but maybe she doesn't even notice it. But you as a parent, you say, you know, the stability, but there are good things and some bad things.
You know, whereabouts in Canada did you go for 9 months?
Vancouver.
Oh, okay. Because yeah, I'm from Kamloops, which is in the interior of BC. So, and that's the shoot Quantum Leap, right?
No, that was Resident Alien.
Okay, yeah.
You guys have a beautiful country. We had the best time in Vancouver. Went to Vancouver Island. We did all the things. We went to what's the name of the surfing place? That was so pretty.
I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name.
Tofino. Oh,
yeah.
So pretty. Went to the mountains. I mean, you guys have such a beautiful place.
Well, the nice thing is, depending on what you want, you can go anywhere in the country and find it. So if you want to feel like you're in Europe, you just go to Montreal or Old Quebec. If you
Mhm.
want to feel like you're in like a maritime town, we have the Maritimes, or if you want to go cowboys, you can go to Calgary.
Tiger, yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So now I want to know, like, from in Quantum Leap, like, or I guess in general, like when you're telling, because you're telling stories with light, and I'm wondering how you like to use light as a storytelling device.
I think lighting sets up the mood. It
Mhm.
is, you can have a sofa and a TV room and two people talking, and it's how you light it that gives the sense of what the scene is about. Are they having a romantic, watching a movie romantically? Are they just having fun? Is it a family gathering? So it sets up the mood, and you have to make sure you can support the story with those choices, right? I think in cinematography, my life is lighting. That's what I love the most.
Mhm.
More than the camera side, I love lighting, and I've always, that's been like my passion. So I think it kind of gives the world to everything. Then once you have an intention, a mood, a set, an emotion, then you can, move your camera around. But you need the lighting to kind of create that tone of where you want the
Mhm.
scene to feel like.
Now, one of the things I like to ask cinematographers is, like, is there a style of photography or cinematography that you really love and sort of use as inspiration for yourself in your personal work?
I think the noir, I think, is such a beautiful, stylistic, kind of artistic way. And there's no right or wrong, but I just feel like it has always been like it stands up, and it creates like so much visual richness and so much elegance in everything you do. And there's so many, in a way, there can be so many grades of noir, right? So you
Mhm.
can take that as a base and deconstruct it or construct it a little bit more, right? But I would say that I'm very inspired by that, like especially in Quantum, that we go to these stories that are, he's a spy or he's a cowboy or he's doing this, all these missions, right? Where sometimes, yeah, it's not like, all happy, and so you can take all that to create shadows and highlights, to create a little more tension, to create a little bit of suspense, or to show not show, right? Like we had the reintroduction of Ian, our
Mhm.
character Ian, to the second season, and it said on the script that we couldn't see their face first, so we had them step into the light, and it was really
Oh, that's
pretty because
cool. Yeah.
then it's very subtle, but you see their body, but then in a subtle move as they speak, then they are in the light. So it was really, really pretty. So you can use, again, I think that you use what you need to use in order to do your work, but I think noir is such a beautiful, I don't know, art that you can then make your own and do your own thing.
So my last question for you is, what would you say is your favorite guilty pleasure film or TV show to watch?
I have to say, the reality shows.
I
I
love those
love
too.
watching, like, I like watching like Night of Fiance or like the Lego Masters or all the cooking
Yeah,
shows, just because I don't have to think.
yeah.
I just put them on, and then I don't have to think about, oh my God, where the light was on, or like what movement did they use? Did they use a crane? Did they use a pursuit vehicle? I mean, I sometimes I just want to sit and not have to think about it. And unfortunately, I can't separate that from like when I watch a show.
Yeah.
So if I put on the reality, I don't care. I just go in with the drama, fully immerse myself.
You'll need to check out Love Island, the British version,
Which
because
one?
Love Island, the British version,
Oh, okay.
because it is I think they have like 42 episodes a season or something crazy like that, because they just
Oh,
keep checking in on them as they evolve. So, but it's ridiculous. So,
I can't wait. I'm so bad, but yes, that's my guilty pleasure.
well, thank you so much for letting me interview today.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
And that's our show for this week, everyone. Make sure to check us out at filmmakeru.com or, of course, on Instagram at filmmaker_you. I'm Gordon Burkell. Thanks for watching.
This video is made possible by our sponsors, AJA. We'd like to thank AJA for all their support and tell you to go to aja.com for all your production and post-production needs.